Someone walks into a group chat and says the wrong thing. Not a crime, not a threat to civilization, just slightly too confident, slightly too weird, maybe using the word literally in a way that is, in fact, not literal. And within seconds, the group brain wakes up. One person corrects them, another makes a joke, someone screenshots it for a different group chat because apparently humans invented electricity so we could whisper faster. So why do people criticize others? The simple answer is not that everyone is cruel. Sometimes criticism is helpful. Sometimes it protects a group. Sometimes it teaches. But very often, judgment is the brain trying to answer an older question. Where do I stand here? Am I safe? Am I respected? Am I better than that person? Am I on the right side of the group? Criticism can look like an opinion, but underneath it is often social navigation. It is the mind placing little pins on a map. That person is wrong. That behavior is embarrassing. That choice is beneath us. And conveniently, I am not that. Which is a very strange thing to need, but also very human. To understand criticism, start with a boring fact that runs almost every social life. Humans are not just individuals with hobbies and passwords. We are group animals. For most of human history, being liked was not a nice bonus. It was logistics. You needed other people for food, protection, childcare, information, mating, and not being quietly left behind when the camp moved. A lone human in the wild is not a majestic apex predator. It is a soft mammal with opinions and poor night vision. So the brain became intensely interested in what other people were doing, what they valued, what they punished, and where you fit inside all of it. That is one reason judgment comes so easily. The social brain is always scanning. Who is competent? Who is dangerous? Who is generous? Who is lazy? Who can be trusted with tools, secrets, children, fire, or the office coffee machine? Criticism is one output of that scan. If someone cuts in line, takes credit for your work, lies, cheats, or makes life harder for everyone, criticism is not just pettiness. It is norm enforcement. A group survives partly by saying, in many different tones, "We do not do that here." This is why even children notice unfairness quickly. They may not understand tax law, but they understand that someone got the bigger cookie under suspicious circumstances. A group with no criticism at all would sound pleasant for about 9 minutes. Then someone would start eating everyone's food, interrupting every plan, and calling it their authentic journey. So criticism has a useful side. It corrects behavior. It teaches expectations. It warns others. It says, this action has consequences. The problem is that the same machinery can also become a status tool. Because criticizing someone does not only say something about them, it says something about you. If I criticize your taste, I imply mine is better. If I mock your mistake, I imply I would not have made it. If I point out that you are breaking the rules, I may also be showing the group that I know the rules. This is where judgment becomes social positioning. Psychologist Leon Festinger describes social comparison as a basic way people evaluate themselves. When there is no obvious scoreboard for life, which is most of life, we look sideways. Am I doing well? Compared to whom? Am I smart, attractive, successful, moral, normal? Weird in an acceptable artisanal way, or weird in a way that requires a family meeting? Other people become mirrors. Not perfect mirrors, more like funhouse mirrors with job titles. And criticism can polish that mirror in our favor. Imagine a coworker gives a presentation with one awkward slide. You could think, that was a hard presentation, and they mostly did fine. Or your brain could quietly enjoy the mistake, because now the room has evidence that someone else is not flawless. This does not mean you are evil. It means comparison is tempting. Someone else slipping can make our own position feel less shaky. A lot of everyday criticism has this flavor. The person who judges how someone dresses at the grocery store. The relative who comments on your career with the warmth of a parking ticket. The stranger online who finds one typo and behaves like they have defended civilization. Sometimes they are defending a standard. Sometimes they are defending themselves. Around here is a good time to say, if you like strange explanations for normal human behavior, subscribe to Oddly Human. It helps the channel, and it gives your social brain one more harmless tribe to belong to. A very respectable tribe. Probably. Now, one of the trickiest things about criticism is that it often hides behind accuracy. A criticism can be true and still be serving another motive. Someone really did make a mistake. The outfit really is unusual. The plan really has flaws. But the question is not only, is the criticism accurate? The question is, why was this the thing your brain wanted to say, in this tone, at this moment, to this audience? A surgeon correcting a medical error is not doing the same thing as a party guest announcing that someone's laugh is annoying. Both are judgments. Only one is clearly helping anyone stay alive. The social brain cares deeply about moral standing too. Humans do not just want to be competent. We want to be seen as good, fair, loyal, aware, not the kind of person who would do the bad thing. So criticism can become moral signaling. When someone condemns a behavior, they may also be displaying their values. They are telling the group, I know what is acceptable. I belong with the decent people. Please update my reputation accordingly. Again, this is not automatically fake. Public criticism of harmful behavior can be important. Groups need people willing to say, this is wrong. But moral judgment has a strange side effect. It can feel rewarding. It gives the brain a little lift. For a moment, the world becomes simple. They are bad. I am good. The group should notice. That simplicity is emotionally comfortable, which is probably why we keep using it even when reality is wearing a disguise and carrying 14 footnotes. There is also insecurity. This is the explanation people reach for quickly, and it is not always fair. Not every critical person is secretly wounded. Some people are just observant. Some are blunt. Some grew up in families where feedback was delivered like weather. But insecurity can absolutely fuel criticism. If a person feels uncertain about their intelligence, they may become very alert to other people sounding foolish. If they feel uncertain about their status, they may talk more about who is tacky, unprofessional, cringe, desperate, fake, or trying too hard. The criticism creates distance. They are the embarrassing one, not me. That distance can feel protective. Psychologists often talk about self-enhancement, the motive to see ourselves in a favorable light. We do not only want to know who we are, we want the answer to be flattering enough to live with. Criticizing others can help with that, at least briefly. It is a cheap way to borrow height. If you cannot feel taller, you can point out that someone else is standing in a hole. Unfortunately, the relief does not last very long. Harsh judgment can become a habit, and habits start to shape what you notice. If your brain gets used to searching for defects in other people, it becomes very good at finding them. This is not wisdom. It is pattern recognition with a grudge. There is another layer, and it may be the most important one. Criticism helps groups define reality. Every group has rules, even when it claims not to. Friend groups have rules about humor. Families have rules about respect. Workplaces have rules about ambition, politeness, and how many exclamation points make an email seem unstable. These rules are often invisible until someone breaks them. Then criticism appears. Why are you dressed like that? Why did you say it that way? Why did you bring that up? Why are you being so intense? Why are you not being intense enough? The criticism is doing boundary work. It marks the edge of acceptable behavior. Anthropologists have long noticed that gossip and reputation matter in human groups. Talking about absent people can spread useful information about trust and cooperation. It can also become entertainment with casualties. That double nature is important. Judgment is not one thing. It is a bundle of functions tied together with facial expressions. It can protect, it can teach, it can bond people, it can punish, it can compete, it can comfort the insecure, it can make the critic feel clean by comparison. And often it does several of these at once. Picture three friends complaining about a fourth friend who never pays people back. On one level, they are enforcing fairness. Good. On another level, they are bonding over shared irritation. Also understandable. On another level, one of them may be enjoying the chance to seem responsible, generous, and financially mature, despite having 6 unused subscription services and a drawer full of mysterious cables. Humans rarely have one pure motive. We are more like committees with skin. This is why criticism can feel so intense even when the topic is small. A messy kitchen is not just a messy kitchen. It can become a symbol of respect. A late reply is not just a late reply. It can become proof that someone does not value you. A bad opinion about a movie can somehow become evidence of a damaged soul. The brain loves turning details into social meaning, and once social meaning appears, criticism feels urgent. There is a useful distinction here between criticism that points outward and criticism that points upward. Outward criticism says, here is what happened, here is why it matters, here is what needs to change. Upward criticism says, look at me being the sort of person who would notice this. The first can be generous, the second can be performance. You can often tell the difference by the aftertaste. Helpful criticism tends to be specific. It is aimed at behavior, not identity. It leaves room for repair. It cares more about improvement than humiliation. Unhelpful criticism tends to be vague, global, and final. You were always like this. People like you never learn. That was so embarrassing. Everyone noticed. That kind of criticism does not guide a person back into the group. It pushes them toward the edge and then comments on their posture. So what do we do with all this? The answer is not to stop judging entirely. That would be impossible, and also a terrible idea. A person with no judgment is not enlightened. They are about to join a very suspicious business opportunity. Judgment is how we notice harm, danger, dishonesty, incompetence, and unfairness. It is part of being a social animal with standards. But we can become more suspicious of our first impulse to criticize. Before speaking, it has to ask a few quiet questions. Is this meant to help or to rank? Am I correcting a problem or advertising my superiority? Would I say this the same way if no one else could hear it? Am I protecting a real norm or just defending my preferences as if they were ancient law? That last one matters because a lot of criticism is just taste wearing a judge's robe. You do not like their clothes. You would not parent that way. You think their hobby is ridiculous. You believe soup should not be served cold, which is understandable, but still not a complete moral philosophy. When criticism is necessary, it becomes better when it is attached to care. Not fake sweetness, not sandwiching an insult between two compliments like a social hostage situation. Real care means the goal is repair, not spectacle. It means criticizing the action without turning the person into the action. You were late is different from you are selfish. That joke hurt is different from you are a terrible person. This work needs changes is different from you are bad at this. The more permanent the label, the less useful the criticism usually becomes. And when we are the ones being criticized, it helps to remember the same thing from the other side. Some criticism contains information. Some contains insecurity. Some contains group rules. Some contains someone else's bad mood looking for furniture to scratch. You do not have to treat every judgment as truth, but you also do not have to treat every judgment as an attack. The hard skill is sorting the signal from the status game. Maybe there is something to learn. Maybe there is a boundary to respect. Maybe the other person is trying to help and doing it with the elegance of a dropped toolbox. Or maybe their criticism says more about the social map in their head than about you. That is the final odd thing about judgment. It feels like looking outward, but it often reveals the person looking. What we criticize most quickly can show what we fear, what we value, what group we want to belong to, and what version of ourselves we are trying to protect. The group chat, the office comment, the family remark, the tiny online correction delivered with the solemnity of a royal decree. These are not random glitches in human kindness. They are ancient social instincts wearing modern clothes. A brain built to survive in groups is constantly asking who is safe, who belongs, who is above, who is below, and whether we are still okay. Sometimes criticism is how we improve each other. Sometimes it is how we police each other. And sometimes it is just the nervous little mammal inside the skull whispering, "Please let me be on the right side of the circle." If you have a question about this, or a strange human behavior you want explained next, leave it in the comments. The social brain will be watching, politely judging, and hopefully learning something.